Napoleon Bonaparte, a name synonymous with ambition, strategy, and power, began his life far from the gilded halls of French palaces. He was born Napoleon Bonaparte on August 15, 1769, in Ajaccio, Corsica, a Mediterranean island recently acquired by France. His family, of noble Italian lineage but modest means, instilled in him a strong sense of Corsican identity and a yearning for recognition. At the age of 9, he was sent to mainland France to further his education at the Brienne Military Academy. Despite facing social isolation and prejudice due to his Corsican heritage, Napoleon excelled in his studies, particularly in mathematics and military history. At 16, Napoleon graduated from Brienne and entered the École Militaire, a prestigious military academy in Paris. His rapid advancement through the ranks, fueled by his intellectual prowess and unwavering ambition, hinted at the meteoric rise that lay ahead. The outbreak of the French Revolution in 1789 presented Napoleon with both challenges and opportunities. France was in turmoil, its monarchy overthrown and its future uncertain. Napoleon, initially sympathetic to the revolution's ideals, skillfully navigated the turbulent political landscape, aligning himself with different factions as they rose and fell. His military career gained momentum during the early years of the revolution. Napoleon distinguished himself in a series of campaigns, proving his tactical brilliance and earning a reputation as a capable and courageous leader. His first major victory came at the Siege of Toulon in 1793, where his daring plan utilized artillery with unprecedented precision and effectiveness. The decisive victory earned him widespread recognition and solidified his status as a rising star in the French army. In 1796, Napoleon was appointed commander of the French Army of Italy, tasked with confronting the Austrian forces that threatened France's borders. The Italian campaign would become a defining chapter in Napoleon's military career, showcasing his strategic genius. Facing a larger and better-equipped Austrian army, Napoleon relied on speed, maneuverability, and a series of brilliant tactical victories to outmaneuver and defeat his opponents. He led his troops on a grueling campaign across the Italian peninsula, winning decisive battles at Lodi, Mantua, and Rivoli. The Treaty of Campo Formio in 1797 marked the end of the Italian campaign, securing French victory and establishing Napoleon as a national hero. His return to Paris was met with jubilant crowds, hailing him as the conqueror of Italy and signaling his growing political influence. While Napoleon was away securing victories in Italy, France remained in a state of political and social upheaval. The Directory, the government that had appointed Napoleon to lead the Army of Italy, faced growing opposition from both royalist and radical factions. Its failures fueled public discontent and created a power vacuum that Napoleon, with his military prestige and growing popularity, was perfectly positioned to fill. Recognizing the opportunity to advance his own ambitions, Napoleon returned to Paris in 1799, greeted as a conquering hero by a public weary of the Directory's incompetence. He skillfully positioned himself as a stabilizing force, cultivating relationships with key political figures and gauging public opinion. France stood at a crossroads, yearning for a strong leader to restore order and project French power on the world stage. Napoleon Bonaparte, the victorious general with a keen political mind, was ready to seize the moment. On November 9, 1799, Napoleon, with the support of key military and political allies, staged a coup d'état, effectively overthrowing the Directory and seizing control of the French government. The coup, known as the Coup of 18 Brumaire, marked a turning point in French history and the beginning of Napoleon's ascent to absolute power. He dissolved the legislature, established a provisional government known as the Consulate, and installed himself as first consul, effectively granting himself dictatorial powers. The French people, weary of instability and eager for strong leadership, largely accepted the coup. To consolidate his power and legitimize his rule, Napoleon implemented a series of reforms aimed at restoring order and stability. He centralized the government, reformed the legal and administrative systems, and implemented a new constitution that granted him sweeping powers. With his grip on power secure, Napoleon turned his attention to addressing France's internal divisions and projecting its power abroad. Having consolidated his power as first consul, Napoleon embarked on a carefully orchestrated campaign to transform himself from a military dictator into a legitimate sovereign. In 1804, through a carefully managed plebiscite, Napoleon was proclaimed Emperor of the French. The coronation ceremony, held at the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, was a spectacle of imperial grandeur, designed to awe the French people and legitimize Napoleon's rule both domestically and on the world stage. One of the most enduring images of Napoleon's reign is that of his self-coronation. Instead of receiving the crown from Pope Pius VII, who was present at the ceremony, Napoleon took the crown from the Pope's hands and placed it upon his own head. This symbolic act sent a clear message. Napoleon's authority stemmed not from divine right, but from his own achievements and the will of the French people. The establishment of the First French Empire marked the culmination of Napoleon's meteoric rise to power. Napoleon's military genius was rooted in his deep understanding of military strategy and his ability to adapt to changing battlefield conditions. He revolutionized warfare with his innovative tactics, transforming the French army into a formidable fighting force that dominated Europe for over a decade. One of Napoleon's key innovations was the use of the Corps system, which divided his armies into independent units that could operate autonomously. This allowed for greater flexibility and speed on the battlefield, enabling Napoleon to outmaneuver and overwhelm his opponents. He also emphasized the importance of artillery, using it not merely as a defensive weapon, but as an offensive force capable of breaking enemy lines and creating chaos. Napoleon's military success was also due in part to his ability to inspire his troops and cultivate a sense of esprit de corps. Napoleon's impact extended far beyond the battlefield. As emperor, he implemented a series of lasting reforms that transformed French society and left an indelible mark on Europe. One of his most significant achievements was the creation of the Napoleonic Code, a comprehensive legal system that codified French law and served as a model for legal systems throughout Europe and beyond. The Napoleonic Code, enacted in 1804, enshrined the principles of equality before the law, freedom of religion, and the separation of church and state. It abolished feudal privileges, established a meritocracy based on talent rather than birthright, and granted greater rights to women and children. While the Napoleonic Code had its limitations, it represented a significant step forward in the development of modern legal systems. Napoleon's reforms extended to all aspects of French society, centralizing the government, reforming the education system, and establishing the Bank of France. Napoleon's ambition, which had propelled him to such great heights, ultimately proved to be his undoing. His relentless pursuit of conquest and his insatiable thirst for glory led him into a series of costly wars that drained France's resources and ultimately led to his downfall. The Napoleonic Wars, which raged across Europe for over a decade, resulted in millions of casualties and left the continent in ruins. Napoleon's invasion of Russia in 1812, driven by his hubris and his miscalculation of Russian resolve, proved to be a turning point in his fortunes. Weakened and facing a resurgent coalition of European powers, Napoleon suffered a series of defeats, culminating in his abdication in 1814. Exiled to the island of Elba off the coast of Italy, Napoleon's reign appeared to be over. Napoleon's final gamble proved to be his last. His forces were defeated by a combined British and Prussian army at the Battle of Waterloo on June 18, 1815, ending his reign and marking the end of the Napoleonic Wars. He was exiled once more, this time to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic, where he died in 1821 at the age of 51. Napoleon's legacy remains a subject of debate and fascination to this day. He was a complex and contradictory figure, a military genius and ruthless dictator, a reformer and a tyrant. His conquests spread the ideals of the French Revolution throughout Europe, but at a tremendous cost in human life and suffering. Napoleon Bonaparte's life was a testament to the power of ambition, the allure of glory, and the enduring impact of human action on the course of history.